Spooky Southcoast, broadcasting live here on WBSM and on Spooky TV at SpookySouthcoast.com as well as at WBSM.com, and also streaming live on the Radio Pup app. If you are out and about on your Saturday night and you want to tune into the program, you can always do so by using the Radio Pup app, or you can use the Ustream app as well, and you can follow the video there. So many ways to keep in tune with Spooky Southcoast. And hello to everybody that listens via podcast. You don't know what you're missing when you're on the live program. What do you need? The music? What? These? No, don't worry about that. Yeah, I can't hear you. Hold on. Try that now.
I was gonna say they always fire off.
There we go.
I was gonna try to tell you to throw those down.
Well, I'm going to start putting numbers on the microphone.
We should. We really should. We should put some sort of flag system.
You would think I would know by this point, but no.
No, well, I mean,
it's like
they're always switching stuff
two,
up.
And then that's 3, but it's in the 4th position.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. And I never understood why, the crane mic isn't 2. Whatever.
WBSM is always on the cutting edge of technology, so they're always switching stuff up on us. So
and if you look, and if you watch the program each week on YouTube or on Spooky TV when it happens live, you can tell like each week we have to have different shots depending on what's going on. I'm pretty sure that we're stretching that camera cord to the point where it's probably going to break by the end of the night. You might want to just maybe just scoot yourself over a little bit. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Just a little slack makes me feel better. And speaking of slack, you'll have to cut us some slack because we were off the air last week because we were at TerrorCon, but we are so glad to be back here tonight. We talk about the paranormal each and every Saturday night, except for last Saturday night because we were involved with TerrorCon weekend. Matt, Moniz, and myself were there both days, and we hung out with some of the celebrities that were in attendance, and we were able to see some old friends, make some new ones, and then investigate the Lizzie Borden Bed Breakfast as part of the TerrorCon event. And the investigations were very intimate.
They were very fun.
We had a small group each night, a nice small group and pretty good activity taking place.
Yeah, and the people enjoyed themselves, and the house provided a little bit of activity, which was nice.
Yeah. Saturday night now, we went with some of the guys from the show Face Off on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, the brothers.
Garcia brothers. They came and they decided that they wanted to check it out. A lot of the celebrities, they wanted to go check it out, but they didn't want to miss the after party, which, come on. You can go to an after party after any convention. How often do you get to investigate the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast? So they came with us, as well as a couple of TerrorCon volunteers and some people who purchased some tickets. And that night was pretty buzzing. There was quite a bit of activity. We were having a lot of footsteps, hearing a lot of sounds. I don't know if I don't know how the people felt about all the sounds that were going on and everything, but we knew they were legit because we knew that the only people that were there was Leanne, and she left for a while. She went out to dinner with some friends, so we really did have the place all to ourselves. But it was we knew how legit it was. And I don't know how much they believed it or not, but everybody came up to me the next morning and said what a great time they had, and that they were glad that they did it, and
they were happy to be in the house, and they thought the house was beautiful and the way it was set up, and they were just happy to be in the historical place that it is. Yeah.
But sometimes things are happening, and we are able to understand the significance of what's going on better than some of the people who were there for the first time.
Well, we're there all the time. We know the little ins and outs of it.
And when it's going down, there's the possibility that things could worsen very quickly. And so that's always in the back of our minds, knowing that sometimes the activity isn't always pleasant, we'll say.
Yeah.
And we got a little bit of that on Sunday night when we would decide to use the Ouija board because nobody would let us, Matt Costa, pull out the Ouija board on Saturday night.
Oh, really?
The people who were in attendance were like, no, we don't want that. Please don't pull that out.
Really?
And then they said no to the Ouija board, too. So but we brought it out on Sunday night, and we were able to have some pretty good stuff coming through that. And, again, that's something that's up to people if they want to believe it or not. There's the possibility when you bring it out, that they're always going to think that it's me doing it. I'm usually suspicious as the other person I'm doing it with that might be doing it, but we were getting some pretty interesting results coming out of that. And we were also using some of the apps that I use, including the EchoVox and the SpiritVox, which we'll talk about later on with our guest, Danny BigBeard Roberge, later on. And any relation, Matt Costa, by the way?
I don't know. I hope so.
All right, we'll find that out later on. Because I was thinking that. I was like, I forgot to ask if there's any relation.
I know it was Danny BigBeard, but then I saw him on Facebook and I was like, Roberge. Like, yeah, maybe.
So
Could be.
We'll get to the bottom of that.
Be.
And I'll let him tell you where he's from, because there's a connection there too. But we were using some of that stuff too, but we were getting a lot of stuff coming through the board, so the people that were there just want to keep using the board. And we use it in a couple of different times. We got the wife, who was very reluctant to try it. She got super into it by the end of the night.
She was a lawyer.
And well, we don't hold that against her.
True.
And she was able to, put her fears aside. Because it was her husband that really wanted to go. She likes horror movies and things like that, but she's never actually really wanted to experience it in real life. So the husband said, well, come on, we'll do it, we'll try it out. And she was scared at first, but by the end of the night, she was all about everything until we went down to the basement. That's when she kind of got freaked out. And we ended it a little bit early, actually, because of how uncomfortable she felt. But there was a lot of activity that night, too, during the course of the investigation.
Got some good EVPs.
And I meant to actually get those from you so that we could play them on the show. That would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But we caught a few clips. One, you were just kind of teaching them how to do it.
Yep.
And then you ran it a couple other times when we ran it while we were doing the Ouija board too. Yeah. So we'll get those uploaded and you'll be able to hear them. But the more interesting experience happened actually after everybody had left. Stephanie left early with her friend Heather. They were there to, Stephanie was investigating with us, and it was a long night, and she's in the family way, so she was tired. She wanted to go home, and they left probably maybe 2 hours before we finished, and then the guests left. Moniz and I have to lock the place up. Leanne was out in the barn. We assumed going to sleep because she was exhausted, and she was barely staying awake when we talked to her around 8 o'clock. So we're doing our usual shutdown routine. And Matt, you've been there with us.
Yep.
You know that we just go room to room. We make sure all the lights are shut off. Make sure we didn't leave anything behind.
Or anybody.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
And Leanne told us to do something with the key when we were done. So we lock everything up. We do what we had to do with the key, which now secures it so that we don't have access to it either. Well, so we can't get back in. So I walk out. I look up. I see the lights on. Moniz looks up. He sees the lights on. He's like, I know I shut that light off. And I was like, yeah. I was up there after you and the light wasn't on.
Right.
Because I had to go back up because I left my tablet up there. So I went back up there, and I didn't turn the light on. So and it was the bathroom light on the third floor. And I'm like, I'm not going to use that light if I go up there. I'm going to use the hallway light.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fine, man, whatever. Maybe one of us made a mistake. Leanne pops open the window from the barn. You guys left the light on. Oh, now I got to go downstairs because you guys already secured the key. And I got to go downstairs, and I got to open the door, and I got to go turn the light off. So she comes down. And, of course, if she had just said, I'm just going to leave that on and go to bed, this never would have happened. But so she comes downstairs. She goes inside, and Moniz, you can help me remember this exactly. She goes inside.
She unlocks the door, goes to acquire the key where we left it for safekeeping. I run up to the third floor, shut off the light, physically shut the switch back off, run all the way back down to the first floor, come back out.
And the two of you come out together. She locks the door.
Yep.
And then as that happens, the second floor light goes on in Andrew and Abby's room. And I'm standing there just watching, and I see that light go on. And I'm assuming that maybe they turned on the staircase light or something, and that's what I'm seeing. But I can tell that it's not. So I'm just standing there, and I'm assuming that they're going to shut that off as they come up. But then they come on. I'm like, you guys are, the light's on in the other room. They're like, no. And Leanne looks, and she's like, oh. So she
unlocks the door again.
Son of a Borden. What the hell?
She unlocks the door again. Moniz is standing next to me now, and we watch as she turns that light off. As she comes out of the house and locks the door again, we both see that third floor bathroom light come on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we physically watched it come on.
We just watch it come on. We both start cracking up, and you can see from the parking lot that it's not the hallway light. It's not another light being reflected in there from one of the other rooms. It's clearly that light in the ceiling. You can see that it's lit up.
Right.
So, and it was funny because the first time when that first came on and Leanne was coming down, we had asked her. Well, I had mentioned I saw the curtain fluttering.
Yeah.
And we said, is the air conditioning on? And she said, not on the third floor. I'm not going to air condition the third floor if there's nobody in the house. So there were no windows open.
Yep.
There was no way for that curtain to be fluttering from any kind of breeze or anything. But it's an old house. It's probably drafty. We'll give that the benefit of the doubt. When we saw that light turn on by itself, where there was definitely nobody else in the house, and we're just laughing at this point. And Leanne's like, "Oh, what did you do to my house?" She just wanted to go to sleep. So finally, she shuts that light off. So none of the other lights are on. She goes up into the barn. She goes to sleep. Moniz and I leave. I'm looking as we're driving by because I'm expecting one of the lights to pop on or something,
Yep.
but I don't see it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I drive home. I get to about New Bedford when my phone starts blowing up. I get a text from Leanne. Light went back on. I'm just going to bed. I hate you.
All right.
So
See what you do?
yeah.
You just stir things up.
At one point, the second floor and the third floor light came on, and then the third floor light went off as she's shutting off the second floor light. And there's no way to get to the second floor and third floor, that quickly.
Well, that's what I was thinking when that light went on. That when I watched the light go on the third floor that second time, I was like, is she just messing with us at this point? But she was outside, and there's no way to turn that light on.
Right.
Even if it was the hallway light, there's no way to turn that light on because the third floor hallway light over the staircase is a separate switch
Totally separate.
from the one that's downstairs for the hallway because it's two L-shaped hallways.
When I went back in the second time, I checked the physical switch. The switch, it was flipped up in the on position. It had to be flipped up. And it's not like an electrical short would do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the physical switch was turned upward. And it's only that one switch that turns it on and off, so.
And that was the first time that we've ever seen that happen.
Yeah.
But it's something that
Heard
I'm going to be...
reports of it, but never
Right.
physically seen it ourselves.
And that's something that I'm going to be pushing to have happen again the next time that we go because it was amazing. And to know that it's taking place and there's nobody in the house. This is one of those things that I know for sure that this was legitimate phenomena. It had to have been paranormal because there was no normal explanation for it. So I post up about it on Facebook, and somebody says, well, why didn't you take a video of it? Oh, all my stuff was packed away, so why didn't you pull out your phone? I was like, I'm not that smart.
At that point, we were just laughing.
And you and I were actually, we were talking about it on the way home. Even if we had recorded it, who's going to believe it?
Right.
Because they're going to be like, oh, somebody was in the house flipping the switch. But we know that there was nobody in the house. And we know the layout of the house. We know that there's no way Leanne was flipping that switch. And we know for sure that we both turned the light off. I mean, we knew for sure, but we were willing to allow the possibility that maybe one of us messed up. But no way. There was no way that I thought about it afterwards. It's like, I know I went up there to get my tablet.
When all three of us are sitting out in the parking lot and the lights go back on, yeah.
So definitely a cool experience and a great night. And I didn't tell the people that were with us about that. I don't know if they maybe follow us on Facebook or Twitter or something and they saw it there, but I didn't. I was going to email them and let them know, but then I was like, you know what? They were talking about coming back and spending the night in the house and really getting some time and getting the full historical tour and everything. I was like, I don't want to scare them from coming back. We had just gotten the wife to open up to the idea of the paranormal, so we don't want to scare her off right away. But other than that, too, the TerrorCon event itself was phenomenal. Great turnout. Some really interesting panel discussions. I got the chance to. Well, I was supposed to moderate the Ghost Hunters panel on Saturday with Amy Bruni, Joe Chin, and Adam Berry. But when you have Adam Berry and a live mic in the same room, you don't need a moderator. They did a fantastic job, and it was hilarious. I was cracking up laughing, and everybody in the room was packed to the gills for them. And then on Sunday, I had the chance to moderate the Bridgewater Triangle panel after they finished showing the film, which, by the way, won the audience award at TerrorCon. So congratulations to Aaron and Manny for that. It was the audience favorite of all the films that were shown during the weekend. So the panel afterwards was pretty interesting, the Bridgewater Triangle panel, because, we asked for some questions. Not a lot of hands went up. We started having some discussion amongst ourselves, and then people started to feel a little bit more comfortable. And we had a gentleman actually raise his hand and share an experience that he had, and he was somebody who had never told this story, and never told anybody about his interest in the paranormal at all, and he shared this experience with us that was just incredible.
Being a police officer as well, so I mean, this guy's trained to observe things, and it unnerved him. So, yeah, it was nice to have him come up afterwards and share a little bit more detail.
And that's one of the things I think about this film, is it's being shown in more and more places, is it's making people realize that, okay, if there can be this high concentration of activity in a place like the Bridgewater Triangle, then certainly it's believable that this one little incident happened to me in my home. And it's making people more likely to discuss it. And now, if you haven't seen the film yet, and we've been telling you all the different ways that you can, from the various screenings to being able to order it on demand via the internet and watching it on your computer, well, now you can do it the good old-fashioned way. You can order the DVD or the Blu-ray from the website, thebridgewatertriangledocumentary.com. I got the Blu-ray. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet because of my whole jury duty week, but I'm hoping to sit down and watch it maybe tomorrow. For Father's Day. My wife and son haven't seen it yet, so I'd like to have the chance to show them. And it's taking off even bigger than ever. People were snatching up the DVDs and Blu-rays. People were buying the T-shirts. You said you bumped into somebody during the week this week that had one on?
Well, in Middleborough, riding a bicycle down 105. It was like big old Bridgewater Triangle T-shirt.
It wasn't Joe DeAndre?
No.
You would have known if it was him.
I know Joe.
So you can get your DVD, your Blu-ray, your T-shirt, whatever, from the BridgewaterTriangleDocumentary.com. And also, we want to announce that we are officially sold out on our Legend Trips event to the Murdoch Whitney House in Winchendon, Massachusetts on July 12th. That will be our big Dustin Parry birthday celebration. He'll be there with us. Those tickets have been sold out. Now we are moving on to the next one, which we announced today. We've actually been selling it for a few days in pre-sale. But this was the first public announcement of it this morning when I had a representative from Edaville USA, here with me this morning. Jared Clemens from Edaville USA was here to talk about some of their upcoming things that they have going on all summer long. And one of the things that will be happening this summer will be on August 30th. We will have our next Legend Trips event at Edaville USA. For anybody who's ever been there and taken that train ride in the woods during the holiday season when it's dark, even if it's 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's dark by that point in December, and you're out there riding the train and seeing all these lights, sometimes you get a feeling, when you're out there in the woods of Carver, when you're out there on the bogs, things seem a little creepy. And I actually had the opportunity to participate in the Ghost Train event that they did a few years ago, and they don't need to add any spookiness to that ride. When you're out there and there is no Christmas lights lit up and there's no Christmas music playing, and you're just out there in the woods on this train slowly, and I'm talking slowly, going through the woods of Carver, you can definitely feel that there's something out there. Moniz, I know that you've been going to Edaville even longer than I have.
Yeah.
And have you ever gotten that kind of a vibe or had any experiences there?
Actually, yeah. Many, many years ago when I was about 9, 10, my parents took me out, and we were traveling through the railroad that goes around the bog, and it was actually in one of the cars. And a lot of people go, to the front end of the train. I decided I was going to head to the back end, just because I could, and, being adventurous. And the caboose car was, obviously at the back. And I was hanging out there, and I'm pretty much the only person by my, in the thing myself. And I remember it feeling very, very, very closed and claustrophobic, even though it's just, a caboose.
It's small anyway. Yeah.
But it was still large enough that you have plenty of room. But
yeah, it still fits about 20 people in there.
Yeah, and it was dark. They didn't have any. They had like one little light on in the thing. And I remember this, like, foreboding feeling. And I was like, this doesn't feel very Christmassy back here, so I pulled it the hell out of there.
See, I'm not buying that story for the simple reason of I tried for 35 years to get the caboose, and I never did. I actually got the caboose for the first time last year, and that's because we were the first people waiting for the next train. And for some reason, that's where everybody wants to go.
When
That's
I was
true.
there,
That's true.
everybody was headed up to the front end.
Sure, yeah.
Well, that's also where they had Santa.
And also, back then, as you said, it wasn't like it is now where
No.
every car is fully illuminated and they're all heated.
Yeah.
Back then you were freezing your ass off if you were sitting in the caboose. And they had those lights that would, they only really ran once the train got up and running.
Right.
That's what helped bring them into brightness. And
Yeah, I didn't realize they made a 4-watt bulb.
yeah, exactly. Well, but that was the idea: is you had to have the light low so you could look out the window and see all the lights on display. I've been going there for a long time, and I would go there when the park was closed. I never went into the park itself. I never broke the law and trespassed, but I would take the rides. Not take the rides. I would take a ride and take the roads.
Mm-hmm.
I would go down there, and I would go up Eda Avenue, and I would go wherever I could, and then when I got to a gate, I would turn around, I'd go back, I'd find another road, I'd go down that until I couldn't go any further. And my father-in-law was actually one of the owners at the time, so I always had that in my back pocket, so if anything, my father-in-law is one of the owners, you can call him, he'll say it's okay for me to be here, even though he probably would have told me, what are you doing there? But you just always got that feeling, and it's a great place when the park is up and running. It's a happy place, and everybody has a great time. But then when everybody goes home and the lights are all off, and I've talked to some of the employees over the last few weeks, and they'll tell you that there's places that they don't want to go in that park. And there's been rumors for years about certain stories about the park. One of them being that I'm going to get in trouble if I tell this story on the air because the family doesn't like people to talk about this. But LSD Atwood, who is the founder of Edaville, he owned the cranberry bogs. He owned the cranberry company that ran from those bogs, and he built the railroad to help with his cranberry business, and also because he thought it would be a good way to get people out and about. There used to be there was a little lake out there where people could go and have a picnic, and so that's what they would do with the train is they'd cart people back and forth as well as cranberries, and equipment and things like that. So he bought this narrow gauge railroad from Maine and he brought it down, and he worked there many long hours. And he was there one night in the museum building now, and the furnace went out, and he went downstairs to fix it, and it exploded, and he died. And now people say that his spirit roams that building. His wife, Althea, is seen roaming the grounds in her wedding dress, pining for Ellis. There's the house across the street, which has one confirmed suicide having taken place in it, and rumors that there'd been other spirits that haunted as well. We're actually going to get to investigate that house, which has never happened before because there was always people living in it. But we're going to have the opportunity to go into that house. We're going to go into the museum building. We're going to investigate the midway where all the rides are. Those rides all came from different amusement parks that are now defunct. And they Edaville's tried to keep those rides alive by bringing them there. And each one of those has its own stories and its own energies and its own spirits attached to them. So you'll be able to check those out as well. And we're going to be able, I'm going to talk Edaville into letting us get right up close and personal with that stuff too. Again, safety rules being what they are and legalities being what they are, that might be limiting in some way. But, why not crawl up on the carousel and put a tape recorder on there and see what you get. Because people always assume that when you're dealing with a haunting, that you're dealing with something negative, and that you're dealing with something scary, and that you're dealing with something dark, or something that has unresolved business, or what have you. But a haunting can be a positive thing, too. A haunting can be a happy thing. The energy that was expelled by people at these parks as they're having a good time, that energy is just as strong as any other tragedy that may have happened as well. And so that could be imprinted upon these rides, could be imprinted upon this land. So that is something that I'm interested in exploring a little bit more when we have this event. It's happening August 30th at Edaville USA. It's in Carver, Massachusetts. We're going to be working out a deal so that people can get a room for a cheap rate in the area. There's a few hotels. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Carver, Massachusetts, it's located right next to Plymouth. So if you're going to come out for the weekend and it's August 30th and everything's going in full swing, you can come out, hang out with us at Legend Trips on Saturday night, then spend Sunday in Plymouth. You can do the Mayflower, you can do Plymouth Plantation. Maybe I can even contact the Plymouth Chamber of Plymouth Chamber of Tourism and see if we can get them to help us work out a deal for people that might want to do some of that stuff as well. And I know that we will be able to also offer a deal for the park, Edaville itself. If you want to come a little bit early and spend the day at Edaville Railroad, we can get you a discount on the actual park admission. So normally they would give us a little bit more of a discount, but because it's a day out with Thomas the tank engine that day, and they have the Thomas train and all the Thomas stuff going on, they really can't give us too big of a discount, so we'll be able to get you $2 off a regular admission, which
That's not bad.
right. And the price, it's only $20 to get into the park anyway
Right.
for any of their weekend events. So, and our ticket for Legend Trips is $99. That will include pizza, dinner, of course, as we always do, snacks and drinks throughout the course of the night.
I worked a season there, and it's not a bad park actually.
I was gonna throw it over to you and ask you, because you've been there when we haven't been. You've been there when the park is closed.
Yeah, I've been down there when all the lights were off, and I've never experienced anything, but it definitely does have like a Scooby-Doo vibe when you're walking through there.
Now,
No old man withers, but
gotcha. Now, are they going to fire up the trains for us during the night, or
We're working on that.
the trains are they're not necessarily new either. They're kind of like from the museum, right?
they have antique trains, and
So they could have some sort of residual.
Right, I
energy as
believe
well.
these trains have come from Maine too, because what happened was when Edaville shut down years ago, that was the first thing that they sold off.
Okay.
And they haven't been able to get everything back that they used to have. But they're working on slowly either reacquiring it or
Right.
building a facsimile or even going in a new direction in some cases. For example, all those animatronic figures that are, the Santa Claus and the bathtub and all that kind of stuff, a lot of those were purchased by people who came and bought them to put them in their yards. And there's a gentleman in Sandwich who lives on Route 3A who has a number of those that he puts out in his yard. There was another gentleman who lived in Lakeville who has an entire village built in his backyard. He has some of those Edaville old displays, but he's also, because I think he's either very sick or he's already passed away, and the family has actually boarded that up, and you can't get into it anymore. But back in the early 2000s, they had that stuff on display. So a lot of that is still alive, but you're right. A lot of the stuff is coming from other places and bringing its own attachments with it. It must have been so awesome to be there after hours.
It is kind of cool.
Did you ever get to go anywhere?
Well, I mean, you're working, so it's like that.
Right, but when you're done working, do you ever walk down the tracks or anything? And
Not too much. I mean, we got to take a little break, and like you could go and like take a little spin on the tilt-a-whirl or whatever, which is fun.
And to Monize's point about working on the train, we are discussing that. It's not cheap to get the train for that. If we can sell enough tickets, we'll splurge on the train ride, but it's not cheap. And the other issue is because
will we at least be able to go onto the train? It doesn't have to go down the track.
I think that I don't know exactly where they keep the trains when it's closed down. They do have trains around the grounds so that you can climb on.
Yeah. I know they have a couple of engines as well. They have a real steam engine, and then they have a electric engine that they use like during the off season.
Yeah, Thomas is there that weekend, which may be part of the issue.
Yeah.
Because
the steam engine is really expensive to run because it runs on coal. I think.
Right.
So
that's the train that I want.
Yeah.
And that's what runs on the weekends. They run the steam engine on the weekends. So that's what I want if we can pull it off. But
either way, I think they're all there.
The number of tickets that we'd have to sell, we if we can reach a maximum sellout, I think we can probably pull it off. Again, though, that's dependent on Edaville and what they can do with Thomas being there, because I don't know if they take Thomas off the tracks, if they leave him on the tracks for the Sunday crowd. I don't know exactly what the logistics are of that. But either way, we'll find out and we'll let you know. Those tickets are available by going to legendtrips.com. If you go to that page right at the beginning, you will see the link to our event at Edaville USA. Coming up on August 30th. You can purchase your tickets now. They are going fast. We're about a quarter of the way sold out just from pre-sale. So if you are thinking about going, you want to make sure that you grab those tickets pretty quickly. This is something that not only have paranormal people been wanting to get to, but
Quarter of the way, and you just put it up today?
the pre-sale started on Thursday. So, but
Still.
yeah, that's how it goes, man. The pre-sales are no joke, and you can get involved with the pre-sales too. If you have never even been to one of our events, you can still get on the list to get first access at those tickets by going to legendtrips.com and signing up for the mailing list. Also, if you are listening and you just want to go to Edaville and check it out and experience the park, and again, there's so many things going on throughout the course of the summer. It's all up on edaville.com. If you want to go and you want to get a great deal, if you go to wbsm.com and you click on the Seize the Deal tab at the very top, little tab at the top, click on Seize the Deal, you'll be able to buy those $20 tickets that I talked about for just $10. So you'll be able to go and take the family for half as much as you normally would. And the park is already significantly cheaper than other parks around. It's $20 to get in when most parks charge you at least twice that just to walk through the door. And Matt, Costa, you can attest to the fact that the food there is very reasonable. You know, it's not like you're going to go and you're going to get whacked for $15 for chicken finger and fries.
Not bad. It's not bad stuff.
And I can tell you that there's actually a whole bunch of new food being introduced this year, including an emphasis on some healthier stuff instead of just the regular park fare. I know, but they'll be able to get some wraps and some salads and things like that.
That's good.
And of course, they always have the barbecue pit. Did you ever get to work the barbecue pit?
No, but I heard it was very good. It was very good. They had lots of good stuff down there.
Every year I want to get the barbecue pit, but my son's like, no, I want to get chicken fingers inside. So we end up going with what he wants. But and they also they built last year, they added a new fried dough stand. The best fried dough ever.
I know they had some really great cider donuts.
Yeah.
They had a guy making them there, like literally frying them in front of you. A bakery in Plymouth, I think.
And the Edaville's the first place I ever had a fried Oreo.
Really?
Like the dipped in chocolate.
Man,
and
that's like
then dipped in the flour and.
I can eat like one.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you can eat. And then they put the whipped cream on them and everything too, so it gets out of control. And the best part about it too is when we're there, you know, if you get there a little bit early and you go in there and you enjoy the park and you pay that park admission to get in first, you can load up on all that stuff, and we'll still have cold pizza for you around 11:30 when we take the break.
Yep.
So you won't go hungry that night, that's for sure.
Nothing like cold pizza.
Well, there's hot pizza.
I guess so, but
I think we're going to be getting Wareham House of Pizza that night too.
Maybe.
It depends, depending on what goes on. It's a busy weekend for them.
That's true.
But we'll be sure that we have. You'll get fed either way, so you can get those tickets again from Legend Trips.
There's a lot of stuff that's up in the air. Like, still 2 months away.
It is. I mean, but people shouldn't wait for tickets because those are going to go quickly. Moniz, getting back to TerrorCon, you had a chance more than I, because I was running around doing a bunch of things. You had a chance more than I did to talk to some of the celebrity guests and to discuss things with them. Who impressed you over the weekend as being just a really nice person?
Dee Williams.
Dee Wallace?
Dee Wallace, sorry.
Everybody was talking about what a sweetheart she was.
Yeah, she's really down to earth, really nice lady. I didn't realize that, she was into, doing horror movies, but she's still, let's call it paranoid of the paranormal. It's like, but I guess that's what happens when you need to make a buck. You take the roles that come to you. But she was a really nice lady. And she's actually going to be joining us on an upcoming program. She now works in kind of the the metaphysical realm. She has a lot of self-help work that she does, and some self-empowerment work that she does. So she's going to be joining us to talk about that, as well as her work in Hollywood as well. And I remember her being on the Lassie show that came out in the 80s. They revived Lassie. Yeah. And she actually had the chance to work with John Provost. So I had mentioned something about seeing Dee Wallace, and John Provost is on my Facebook. Don't ask me why. I got a lot of weird old TV people on my Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, tell her I said hi." I was like, "Will do." And she really was just a very nice person.
Everybody said that Lita Ford was fantastic.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to her, and it's like, oh, you worked with a friend of mine, and because, as you know, I worked with Stetton for a while and stuff like that, and she had a lot of nice things to say about working with him and stuff like that, and she missed, that kind of rock and roll camaraderie. But she was very busy. People lined up around the corner for, pitches with her.
And, some of it's a little bit different than it was. Like, even at Rhode Island Comic Con last November, you could walk by the table, you could take pictures of people. Now, a lot of them don't want you to do that. It's like you can't take a picture unless you're paying for it. And it's funny to see the signs, $25 for a picture, $10 for a selfie. So it's $25 for them to take a picture of you. But if you want to take a picture like with your cell phone, it's $10. So that's a little...
Yeah.
Just goes to show you how much that modern technology is changing things now. It's not like you could walk up to... And I think probably my highlight of the weekend, I got the chance to, because I was running folks up and down through the back way to get them up to the panel discussions on the top floor. So I ran into Linda Blair in the hallway, in the kitchen.
That's scary.
Right. That was she was very nice, very short too. I wasn't expecting to be so. I knew she was on the smaller
She wasn't
side.
like crab
but not
walking
small.
through that.
She was not crab walking, no. But we were in the kitchen, and she walked by, and I turned to whoever was with me and said, "I hope they're not serving pea soup up here today."
Uh-huh.
And then I also had the chance to run into in the hallway WWE superstar the Demon Kane.
Ah,
nice.
As I was coming out of the elevator, I believe I was with you guys for the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah.
Thing, and that's when we saw him. I was like, wow. And he is definitely taller. Although John Brightman was arguing that he might not be as tall as he's billed because he was about the same height as Brightman. So
yeah.
But I said, well, he does wear lifts in the ring. Those boots that he wears do have like a 3-inch heel on them.
The other person I enjoyed hanging out with was Dee Schneider.
How was he? I didn't get a chance to talk to him.
I was walking around with him for about 20 minutes. We were chatting back and forth about music and stuff like that because he knows Uncle Roger and stuff like that. So we were walking around looking at all of the vendors and stuff like that. And he's actually a very intelligent guy. Most people don't realize he's actually got a brain.
Oh yeah, no, he's a hell of a guy. And if you ever listen to his radio show or see some of the other projects that he does, in addition to Twisted Sister, I mean, he's a Renaissance man. And of course, speaking of Uncle Roger, the pro wrestlers were running around.
Yeah.
In full glory. Matt, do you remember a guy from a few years ago, the Boogeyman?
I do.
The red guy that would eat the worms and had the busted clock? He was running around in full makeup and sneaking up on people and grabbing them. And at one point, he snuck up on Tiffany.
Really?
Tiffany Rice was standing there, and the Boogeyman is like, shh. And he just sneaks up behind her and grabs her, and then she's like, oh my God, can I get a picture with you? And so then I took pictures of Tiffany and Stephanie with the Boogeyman. So
that's great.
Yeah. And he was a really nice guy. He was cool. Charles Wright was there. He played Papa Shango and the Godfather. So he was supposed to be the Godfather one day and Papa Shango the next day, or vice versa. And instead, he did both characters both days.
Nice.
He actually stopped, took a break, went and did the makeup, came out, and then went out, put on the pimp suit, came back out. So it was really nice of him to do all that. And Scotty Too Hottie was unable to make it. And one of the guys from Grimm was unable to make it. They were both supposed to be there both days, but only Russell Hornsby could make it the second day. And he sent his apologies for his co-star, but everybody was still thrilled to meet them. Of course, seeing Kane Hodder running around everywhere.
Yeah, he's always a fun guy.
And what's funny about him is I love how he walks around with that intense look on his face, like he's going to just scare the crap out of everybody and doesn't want anybody to talk to him. But then you go up there and start talking to him, he's just the nicest guy. So he was running around.
Always very self-deprecating.
And Tony Moran sitting right near him, and just imagine being in that corner of the room for all weekend.
Right.
So many things going on. So we'll be.
What was with the Jaws props? Did you guys get to see that?
Yeah, they were in the middle of the.
Did they have Bruce?
They had the head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't the entire shark.
So
but
at
it was
least
the
you got
head.
to stick your head in the.
If you wanted to, yeah.
For $5, you could.
$5.
I know.
And they also
I guess
had
it's worth
Audrey
it. It's
from
worth
Little
it.
Shop of Horrors.
Oh, nice.
But that wasn't the real Audrey. That was like it was from the guy who created it.
Yeah.
But it was a replica, and it was like soft.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like rubber like the one
Well, I
in
know
the
at
movie.
Comic-Con they did like the Jabba the Hutt thing, but
Right.
it was like
And they had the giant Rancor.
It was like It was a $5 donation to the Children's Hospital, I think. So was it the
I think these were
same type of thing?
straight out charges, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right next to it, they had.
Plant food costs a lot. Or hamburger, or whatever you feed it.
Your enemies. There's actually a picture out there floating around of Kira sitting in the middle of Audrey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so
Nice.
that was pretty funny.
So you're chopping.
I know. I just wanted to basically recreate the entire Little Shop of Horrors movie, but I didn't. So
We got to dress up as the dentist.
I would have, but I didn't. I didn't think to dress up as anybody.
Oh.
I was thinking that I would dress up as Matt Costa, but somebody did that
I
already
know,
at Comic-Con. I wonder if he cut his hair too.
Maybe.
But wait, did you already have the haircut when that
I
happened?
hate that guy. I don't know.
No, you didn't. I don't think you did. So he must have had long hair
Yeah.
too. So I wonder if he cut
I think
his.
I did. I think I did short hair.
Because he was a spitting image of you. It was crazy. All right, why don't we take a break? Coming up a little bit later on, we will be joined by our guest, Danny BigBeard Roberge. He'll be talking with us. His beard is big, too. He'll be talking with us about some of his apps. And you can go to the App Store for whatever device you have, and you can download them while we're talking about them. And I know that folks are out there investigating with them tonight. A lot of the folks who come to our Legend Trips event, when they see me using them, they immediately download them. And it's great because it's something that you can bring with you that you didn't even realize that you brought with you. So instead of bogging yourself down with 45 different devices and needing a bandolier to carry them all around, you can just keep them all on your phone or on your tablet or whatever you want to use, and just get out there and do the investigation. So we'll talk to him about that. We'll talk to him about how he creates these and how he's put them to work out in the field. We'll also take your stories as well. If you've had any experiences with those apps and you want to share with us some of your experiences, you can give us a call, 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. And again, we'll let you know a little bit later on what's going on in the upcoming weeks. I know that we have Nicole Stevens will be joining us next month.
Yep.
And
July 19th.
in August, we'll have Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer.
Yep.
He'll be joining us. But I think next Saturday, I think I'm going to take the day off. I have to talk to Stephanie and see if she can step in and host. But it's my son's birthday, so I think we're going to go do something for his birthday. Yeah. I'm thinking that I'll take him to a not haunted amusement park or something. Mm-hmm. We haven't decided yet what we're going to do. There's a lot of stuff on the table. He doesn't like doing ghost stuff.
What about Water Whiz?
We do that anyway. He goes with my my whole family gets the buy one get one tickets, so he's going to go and do that eventually anyway this summer. And there's usually quite a few things that we try to hit up over the summer as part of our regular summer routine. So we want to take him somewhere he's never been before. I'm thinking Canopy Lake because he's been to Six Flags. He hasn't been to Canopy Lake. All right, so we will take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more. And then coming up in the next hour, we'll have Danny BigBeard Roberge here with us. So you can email any questions that you have for him. SpookyCrew@SpookySouthcoast.com. You can tweet them to us at SpookySC. But then again, there's a good old-fashioned way. You can just call in 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. Back in a moment with more Spooky South Coast here on WBSM.
Ladies, how many
The latest news, the viral videos, and vlogs from your favorite hosts.
along with the silent assassin Matt Costa and science advisor Matt Moni. Stephanie Burke has the night off tonight. So I wanted to ask you guys about this, and we're not going to do this in the Weekend Weird format because of what happened. It's a little bit more serious than something that we would normally make light of. But I want to ask you about this whole Slender Man thing. And I know that Matt Costa, you've been posting the stories up online on the Spooky Southcoast page and on the Twitter account. And but basically, there was a stabbing that took place, right? That was done up as an offering to Slender Man, who's not even a real...
Yeah, I think it was like 2 teenage girls
Yes.
who were making a sacrifice to. Basically, a legend, a made-up story from this guy who made up the story of Slender Man in 1995.
It was basically created as an internet thing.
Yes.
The idea being that they wanted them to create an urban legend, and so that was what came about. And now it's led to the point where there are actual sightings of people, from people who say that they've seen this Slender Man character, lurking about in the woods. And when you look at the design of how it was created, it's
There's
easy.
also video, supposedly.
I actually got when I first heard about it, I thought it was like a legitimate story, a legitimate legend. Then I did a little more research and found out that it was actually this guy who just kind of wrote the story about it, and then he photoshopped like a couple of pictures to go along with the story, made up like a news thing about it, all for this one website that was kind of doing like a contest for it.
Somethingawful.com.
Right.
So it's only this.
So I mean, I
contest.
got duped, but I mean, I did my research afterwards, but like a 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old probably would not
here's
know,
the thing. It was created in 2009. So first of all, for that much of a legend to develop in such a short amount of time is pretty impressive. But also, that was 5 years ago. So these 13-year-olds were 8 years old back then. They probably weren't using the internet. So they probably have grown up in a time when all they see is the reports and they don't know that true history. The fact that we have, first of all, you're whacked if you're 12 years old and you're stabbing another girl because you want to become the proxy of Slender Man. So you're already tapped. There's also other cases that have popped up as a result of it. In Cincinnati, there was a mother who believed that her child's Slender Man obsession caused her child to attack her, the mother. And then there was a neighbor who, in Las Vegas, who said that their neighbor used to dress up as Slender Man before he killed 2 police officers and a civilian. So there's all kinds of things that are happening out there that are being attributed to this obsession that people seem to have with a completely fictional urban legend.
Well, look at... here's a good example. The movie Candyman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of people started believing that, the Candyman person was based in real life and stuff like that, and that took off.
But what's interesting about that is that there are some people who still insist that there is truth to that story, that Clive Barker actually stole that story from an actual urban legend that exists in Chicago. So that story has been kind of told both ways.
Yeah.
At least with Slender Man, we have that documentation, so there is no doubt of where it was created. I mean, I believe that Candyman was just a completely fictitious idea too, but it's enough that it's gotten those legs over the years.
Granted, may have little bits of it probably dragged from,
It's kind of an amalgamation of other legends too, but this character seems to be something that's taking off, and that just goes. People think I'm crazy all the time when I say that I think most of the ghosts that we investigate for are ones that we've created on our own. That they're thought forms that we've created by thinking that a place is haunted, and then they're like, that can't happen. But it does. Here we have a urban legend, a story, a character that was completely made up, and he's terrorizing people legitimately. Or people are legitimately terrorized by him, either way, however you want to look at it. But it's definitely something that we'll keep following along. And I've had people ask me if we can do an entire story on entire episode on it, and I don't know if we can. I don't know if there's enough there.
I don't know. Do you think it's too soon?
No. I mean, I think that it's something that we need to address and need to cover, but I just don't know if there's enough to it.
Just for the simple fact of putting out the truth. So it prevents things like
But
that
even
from
then,
happening again.
you know how it goes when this starts happening. Even that won't be enough to dispel the rumors. You know, when the legend becomes fact, print the legend. And I think that's the case with this for sure. And I'm sure that we'll have more attention paid to Slender Man now that these stories have hit the newswire.
I kind of feel bad for the creator of this legend, because I mean, like, I don't think he kind of realized how far it would go.
Yeah, he
Right.
didn't intend
You
for
know?
the end results. Yeah.
But we'll keep up to date with that story. We do have to take a break for the news. When we come back on the other side, we'll be joined by our guest tonight, Danny BigBeard Roberge. We'll talk about some of his apps that he's created. You know, the Spirit Vox, the Echo Vox. You probably have them on your phone or on your tablet. You've probably even used them. So you can let us know about that. We'll talk with Danny in just a bit. Coming back with more Spooky South Coast.
For local news, talk, and sports, the South Coast turns to AM 1420 WBSM New Bedford and